Hello, this is Alistair, this is Attic Folk, and this is a quick look at the Gravity Engine plugin that I'm working on. We're in Reaper. This is a very simple piano pattern that's playing, and we also have a guitar pattern, a cello, drums, bass, and violin. And these are all just simple patterns that are all written as though they're over a C chord. And this is Gravity Engine. This instance of Gravity Engine is playing or driving the acoustic guitar. And there are multiple versions there are multiple instances of Gravity Engine. They're all linked together. So the quickest way to show you what it can do is just to show you what it can do. So as I move my cursor around and I hover on corners of these chords, I'm changing this chord shape that's down here on the input keyboard. These grey notes are a representation of what I call the stream. So that's just the simple pattern that's playing the acoustic guitar. Okay, so if you rotate around a single chord token clockwise, you play higher and higher inversions of that chord. When you go from token to token, it chooses the least possible movement of the chord, of the control chord. And you can see that the speed at which you hit the corners weights the velocity. So if you hit it fast, it'll be louder, and if you hit it slower, you can kinda... I'm deliberately doing it super slow there. And the amount of that weighting can be determined in the settings. This chord in the centre, which is C at the moment, it works a little bit differently. Each of the corners is tied to individual voices. So watch this note down here. So when I go down, it just moves that single note down. And it doesn't know what that chord is. So going around this, when you go anti-clockwise, you're moving individual voices of the chord down. And of course, you don't just need to do it one at a time, you can do two, like that. And of course, you don't need to input the chords using your mouse. So I've got a little keyboard connected, and I'm now just playing the chords with my fingers. If you go into settings and you choose field select mode, that means you can just play the chords using one finger rather than 3 or 4 fingers. But what that does mean is that you're effectively limited to the chords that are on your guide map. So I'm now just playing these by single note. And even though it's single note, there are various ways, I'll make a separate video about this, but there are various ways to access these chord shapes that are higher up, and also to access the inversions. But briefly, you can double tap, or triple tap. And when I'm doing double tap or triple tap, I'm accessing all these kind of variations that are up here just with the single note gestures on the keyboard. These guide maps have complicated views where you have sort of suggested chains of chords. Things like secondary dominance, or just kind of flavors of the chord shape. So you have like an F, or you've got an F add 9 there. So this is a sort of suggested little mini progression of a G minor add 9 to an F add 9 to an F major. If you look down at the bottom here, you can see the full name of the chords that you're triggering in these corners. So that's an F, that's an F over A, and that's an F over C. And the last thing that I'll give you a quick demonstration of, we'll close that window. If we go to the violins here, we'll open up the instance of Gravity Engine that's controlling the violins. If you see this little pawn up here, that means that it's in follower mode. Gravity Engine has a thing called Gravity Engine Link, or GE Link, where you can specify which instance of Gravity Engine is the leader and which is the follower. So this follower account is following the chords from the leader, which is the acoustic guitar instance. But the reason I wanted to come into this instance is to show you a little thing called magnets. So I'm going to turn on a magnet. If you look at that's the little stream of 3 notes that are just repeating the violin. So I'm going to turn on the magnet, and if you see this little white zone, this little white heat zone, that attracts the notes, the output notes, to whatever that little heat zone happens to be, and you see it's moving up and down there. If I use my keyboard, connect the keyboard to change the chords, violin's about to come back in. It was messed up there a little bit because I was playing 3-note chords when it's expecting single note. So you saw there that the violin part, which is just C, E, G, C, E, G, that's what the stream is doing. But Gravity Engine is taking that very simple C, E, G, C, E, G repeating input, and it's transforming it into something that has harmonic movement, and also movement up and down the octaves. So I think that will do it for a first look. Sorry for all the stuttering and hesitation. I've not written a script and I'm just speaking. So that'll do it for now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you.